I'm here today with the Polyend Tracker Mini in a much different setting than usual. I'm in my cozy living room, and the reason for that is because when I think Polyend Tracker Mini, I don't think studio. It feels like more of a outdoor location or just change location type of instrument. There's already plenty of first impression videos out about the Polyend Tracker Mini, so that's not what the majority of this video will be about. First off, I definitely do not need two Polyend trackers, so I'm actually considering getting rid of the OG Polyend tracker because this one really does do everything in a much smaller amount of space. The new additions include a rechargeable battery that lasts around 8 hours. There's a built-in microphone so you can sample anything that you like on the fly. Stereo sample support. Yes! Audio over USB, which is a new addition that's becoming more and more popular these days. 4 times more memory than the OG tracker, which is great for this video because we're using longer samples that are in stereo. The CPU is also much more powerful, and it also comes with a case. So they shrunk everything. What's missing? The grid, the dial, and the FM radio sampling. I'm sort of missing the bigger screen and the dial, like ish, but I mean, that's the whole point of the Mini, a much smaller amount of space with much more capabilities. You can see the size here. You can make music pretty much anywhere with this thing. It's kind of like a Game Boy. It reminds me of a Game Boy. It's also worth mentioning that it does have something kind of similar to like an Electron grid type of workflow, but in a much more compact space. And so for all of those reasons, if you're gonna get a Polyend tracker, this, I think, in my opinion, this is the one to get. And if you are interested, consider using the affiliate links in the description of this video. This channel is supported by you, so I would get a small kickback from that sale, and it doesn't cost you anything extra. Despite the small size, they've made navigation very simple and easy to access. And yes, it is much like the Dirty Wave M8, a Game Boy in your hand, but you can make music with it. Every single video that I post about the Polyend tracker, even the OG, someone mentions it. So yeah, there are some similarities there. And no, I have not tried the M8 yet. In terms of the design and like the feel of the instrument, the only thing I'm not super crazy about is just the feel of the buttons. I feel like you really have to mash them down sometimes for them to activate. I think that just seeing this thing in action will give you a better idea of what it's about. Before that though, seeing as we're doing a portable setup type deal, this is the perfect moment to talk about AIAIAI's Unit 4 Wireless Plus studio monitors. These are the world's first fully wireless, fully portable studio monitors. And here's how they very seamlessly integrated into my home setup. Firstly, they give you the flexibility to move around. Let's say you want to go outside, or if you want to just move to a different room within your house. There's 2 different modes that you could choose from as well. So there's wireless plus mode. So not Bluetooth. This is an ultra low latency mode. And then there's regular Bluetooth. Personally, I've also been using AIAIAI's TMA2 Wireless Plus headphones, which uses the same wireless plus technology. I could say from experience that it's pretty much unnoticeable latency. The speakers also have analog inputs if you want to connect to a sound card or a mixer or just directly into an instrument. This is how I've been using it most within my setup. If you want to go extra portable, you could even isolate to 1 speaker, plug in, switch it to stereo, and go even more portable. They also come with this XO2 Wireless Plus transmitter, which allows you to connect via USB or aux into your audio device. This transfers wireless audio to both speakers at the same time. In my experience so far, the Unit 4s have like a dual function within my own household. They've basically taken over all the rest of the speakers that I own. I use them in a professional and non-professional setting. They're super portable, convenient to use, and they sound great, so why not? In any case, back to the video. All right, so now back to the Polyend Tracker Mini. Let's get a beat from scratch going here. If I go to song, we are at 135 BPM, which is techno tempo. Big surprise there. Today's approach is going to be a little bit different. Usually I use one-shot samples with the Tracker Mini. I have a bunch of longer samples that I've been using throughout pretty much all of my projects that are available through my Patreon, some of which I've thrown into the sample pool in here, so that's what we're going to be going with today. We're not just going to be dropping these samples in here and calling it a day. We're going to be looking into ways of chopping them up and using the onboard effects and workflow of the tracker. So for this first sample, I'm just going to choose a kick and throw a 4 on the floor type of thing here. So that'll be our kick for now. Let's hear that. We're currently set to 32 steps, so that's 2 bars of 16th notes. For the second sample, I'm going to drop one of my longer samples, longer drums. Basically a full drum groove like with hi-hats and everything. Let's hear all this together. Right, so right away, this is competing with the kick. So I'm gonna go over to instrument parameters, high pass. And just to hear that difference, I'm gonna solo, I'm gonna mute the kick. And let's see what we could do with that. What else can we add here? Bit depth, overdrive. Bit depth. You really want to crush those drums. Let's do that with the kick. Those are a little bit low, so I'm going to raise the volume of those as well. I tend to overdo the bit depth, so just telling you that now. So far, I don't really feel like I'm cheating because this is my own sample that I've crafted with the Digitact actually. But let's say it wasn't my sample. I want to make this a little bit more interesting, a little bit more original. We could do that, of course. Let's do it now. From here, I'm going to hit Effects 1. I'm going to select all the notes. The shortcut to do that is Shift, hit up, and now all the notes in that track have been selected. Effects 1. From there, I'll hit Fill, and I'm going to choose Low Pass. It's already been selected, and Random. I could choose the intensity of the low pass, so from 35 to 80. And I'm going to hit Fill, and it auto-generates a sequence here based on the information that I just gave it. So let's hear what that sounds like. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not. So that's cool. Let's try another one. Sometimes they give more groovy results. Okay, let's change this around a little bit just to find that sweet spot. Let's try that. Okay, so now we're getting somewhere. I think that some reverb and delay would do well on this as well. I'm gonna throw some delay, some reverb on there. Now I'd like to layer some hi-hats over top of this, which is what I'm gonna do on track 3. I like to usually have like 2 sets of highs or tops. So hi-hats and then usually some other sort of high perk. So I'll start here by throwing in some hi-hats on track 3. I could even change some of the notes of these hi-hats if I want. Add a little bit of variation here. So let's see 4 on this one, let's say. Instrument parameters, definitely gonna add some, oh, there's already a delay on this. Okay, great. So I'll do that. Bit depth. Ooh. Overdrive. Those are staying just like that. Panning if I want. We'll keep them down the middle for now. Maybe a little bit more volume. Over top of that, on track 4, I'm just gonna find a perk. So these 2 hats are playing the exact same rhythm, but sometimes it's cool to just have the option of layering the hats, right? So if you want to increase the intensity of your track, I would go to these sort of like 909 hats, but if I wanted to get rid of them, I can certainly do that. Here they come. 1, 2, 3. I like having that option. So far we have 4 tracks of drums, and guess what? We're gonna add more. We're actually gonna throw in another long sample onto here. I actually already know which one I want to add. It's called Tasty Artifacts, 135 BPM. You can find that on my Patreon, of course. So it's quite far in the background there. Menu, instrument parameters. There we go, let's solo it. Let's hear that with just the kick. Instrument parameters. We could bring this bit depth down, perhaps. Ooh, I just love that sound. And definitely gonna add some delay on this. Overdrive. I'm also gonna cut some of the low end of there, so we're gonna add a high pass. Again, with this longer sample, I find that this is just too easy. Let's like just change it up rhythmically a little bit. There we go. And what I could also do to maybe add some kind of like weird rhythms over top of this, I could change the note of this sample, which will in turn change the tempo as well. Let's see what C6 sounds like. Ooh, it's bloop. Ooh, and I'll change this to, let's say, a G. G5, let's say. Cool. With the hats. Ooh. I have one last long melodic loop that I want to add into here. So yeah, typical, tons of drums, only one melodic loop. Welcome to my channel. Track 6, I'm going to change this to a bass part. It's called Bass Station Nerdy. This is a fun sample. This is what it sounds like with the groove. Again, instrument parameters. I'm going to raise the volume of this a little bit. Once again, I'm going to select all the steps on this track, effects 1, fill. This time we're going to do what's called roll. So let's go from 0 to 16. So now this bass line that you just heard before is going to be completely different. Let's hear it. So obviously that doesn't work at all. It's way too intense. We'll do that again. Let's go 0 to 1. Let's try that. Maybe, let's try it again. Restart. With the other parts. We have this really cool rhythmic thing with the bass line, which I do admit is probably going to get annoying pretty quickly. Like this could be the bass line, but what I'm going to do is instrument parameters again. Put a high pass on this, and we're going to put the original bass over top of this. So like this, maybe some reverb on that, delay. Go back to pattern, and again, we're going to go instrument and just throw that same bass. But this time without that high pass on there. So there we go. Whoops, so that's my mistake. They actually, both samples got the high pass removed. So now they're just battling with each other. So what I'll do is on effects 2, again, I'll go to fill and I'll put a high pass specifically on this track. We'll randomize it from 40, let's say, to 100. And so there we have 7 tracks. It definitely needs a mix, but this is just a good idea of a few things that you could do using longer samples with the Polyend Tracker Mini. This is my first impression. This is actually my first full beat with the Polyend Tracker Mini, so there you have it. Hopefully this gives you more of a hands-on idea of what this thing is actually like, what it feels like. Again, there are affiliate links in the description of this video. If you'd like to purchase the Polyend Tracker Mini, please use those links. Hope this helped. Thanks for being here and hope to see you soon.